Imagine a master assassin, like the kind of shadow-dwelling killer with 41 names carved into his own skin.
Right, like a permanent physical ledger of his sins.
Exactly. But what if I told you his most dangerous weapon wasn't, a poisoned dagger or an explosive trap?
Oh, this is the best part.
Right.
Eh,
What if his ultimate weapon was just his absolute refusal to tell a lie? Welcome to the deep dive. I'm so excited for this one.
me too. It's going to be a great discussion.
Today we are cracking open a document that's simply titled rogue.pdf. And at first glance, if you look at the source material, it really just seems like a standard character sheet for a tabletop role-playing game.
Yeah, just numbers and stats.
Exactly. It details this human rogue assassin named Devon. But we aren't here to just, read off game statistics to you.
No, not at all. Because this document is actually this incredibly dense, profound psychological profile.
It really is. Our mission today is exploring how you can use cold, hard mathematical mechanics to tell the story of this reluctant killer who is basically just trying to buy back his soul.
And it fundamentally changes how we understand character creation.
Totally.
Usually a character sheet in these types of games is treated like, well, a vehicle for power fantasy. You want the highest numbers so you can hit the absolute hardest.
Right, you want to be the superhero.
Exactly. But the author of this document does something entirely different. Every single number, every item, every skill proficiency on Devon's sheet exists to explain a trauma
Well,
or a past decision.
it's all rooted in his mind.
Yes,
Yeah.
or a philosophical shift, right.
Mhm.
The mechanics don't just support the narrative. They literally are the narrative.
I love that. And I want to start by just throwing away the stereotype entirely because, when you hear rogue assassin, you immediately picture, the brooding guy in the tavern corner flipping a coin.
Or the quippy, charming thief swinging from a chandelier.
Yes, exactly, the cliche. But Devon is, well, he's none of those things. The document describes him as a shadow walker forged in this brutal, freezing industrial city called Zakova.
Zykova is such a grim setting, too.
So grim. And instead of playing him like a butcher who just, walks into a room to maximize a body count, Devon operates more like a reluctant surgeon.
That's a great analogy.
Thanks. Every kill is an entry in a ledger. He knows how to end a life in exactly 6 seconds, but the defining trait here is that he hesitates on the 7th.
And that hesitation is the core of his entire existence. The document actually notes that his violence isn't exciting. It's not adrenaline-fueled anymore.
It's just heavy.
Profoundly heavy. It is calculated and restrained.
Oh, yeah.
And those 41 names carved into his hands, they aren't trophies.
Right. He's not bragging about them.
No, they are an accounting of the cost of his survival in Zakova. And this ledger ties directly into his moral trajectory, which honestly subverts another massive gaming cliche.
Oh, the alignment system.
Exactly. In most systems, a player picks a moral alignment, like chaotic good or neutral evil, and they just wear it like a static label for the rest of the campaign.
It's almost like picking a Hogwarts house. Like, I'm chaotic neutral, so I do random things.
Right. It's an excuse for behavior.
Yeah.
But the author here explicitly states a rule for Devon. Alignment isn't a label. It is a destination.
Wow.
Yeah. And they map out this trajectory across 3 distinct phases of his life. Phase 1 was his past in Zakova. He operated as lawful or neutral evil.
Clinically efficient, right?
Super efficient. He killed without feeling. He justified his actions through raw survival and cold logic. He was completely detached from the human cost. Literally just a tool being used by a corrupt city.
But he doesn't stay there.
No. Then we arrive at Phase 2, which is his current operational state in the game, true neutral.
So he's not necessarily the good guy yet.
Not inherently good, no, but he has stopped being a blind weapon. He questions every single action now. He avoids unnecessary harm, and he operates on a strict personal principle.
Rather than just impulse or taking orders.
Exactly. He is acting as a filter. And then there is Phase 3, which is the aspirational phase, lawful good. He ultimately wants to reach a point where he protects his party and uses his lethal skills only as an absolute last resort.
The phrase in the text that absolutely anchors this whole progression, and I love this, is redemption is earned through repetition, not declaration.
That is such a powerful line.
It really is. He can't just wake up, announce he's a hero, and wash his hands of those 41 names. He has to actually prove it through a brutal grind of better choices.
Day in and day out.
Right. But this is where the philosophy has to hit the reality of the game mechanics. Because, it's one thing to have a cool backstory, but I was looking at his actual physical stats earlier, and I honestly thought there was a typo in the document.
The physical ability scores.
Yeah.
Let me guess. The strength and charisma numbers threw you off.
Completely threw me off. I mean, an assassin needs to be either physically dominant or incredibly suave, right?
Taking James Bond or John Wick. Yeah.
Exactly. But Devon's stats are incredibly weird. He has a dexterity of 16, intelligence 15, wisdom 14.
All solid numbers.
Right. Constitution 13. But then he has a perfectly average, completely uninspiring 10 in charisma and a below average 8 in strength.
Which is pretty rare for a cinematic hero.
Wait, 8 strength and 10 charisma? If I'm building an assassin, shouldn't he be incredibly strong or at least charming so he can get close to targets? How does a guy who can't win an arm wrestle or charm a bouncer actually assassinate anyone?
Well, that assumption you just made is exactly the trap most players fall into.
Yeah.
And it actually highlights the genius of this specific character build.
Okay, lay it on me.
Devon intentionally rejects brute force. And 8 strength isn't a mistake, it's a philosophy.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, the document notes that if Devon finds himself in a contest of physical strength, something in his plan has already gone horribly wrong. He doesn't wrestle guards to the ground. He refuses to participate in that kind of conflict entirely.
So he just bypasses it. But what about the 10 charisma? Because a 10 in the system just means you are exactly average.
Right, no positive modifiers.
He gets no bonuses to persuasion or deception. I mean, he's not ugly, but he certainly isn't charming his way into a royal gala.
No, he isn't. And his social presence isn't meant to be warm or persuasive. It's heavy. It's unsettling.
He's the guy staring at you from across the room.
Exactly. He isn't trying to make you like him. Instead of using charisma, he relies entirely on his mind. That 15 intelligence represents top-tier strategic thinking, pattern recognition, and consequence analysis.
Ah, so he outthinks the room.
Precisely. And the 14 wisdom represents his acute moral awareness.
Yeah.
He detects manipulation. He doesn't need to sweet-talk you if he can read your micro-expressions and figure out exactly what you're terrified of.
That makes so much sense. He thinks his way through a room instead of talking or fighting his way through it. And that nervous system, that hypervigilant mind, it's reflected the second he is created.
Down to his race and background.
Yes. The player chose the human race for him, specifically because humans aren't born with innate magical gifts or, like, dark vision. Zakova didn't hand Devon any supernatural advantages.
It forged him through sheer trauma.
He had to adapt his own biology to survive.
And we see that trauma explicitly in his background choice, too. He isn't an urchin who stole apples to survive, and he isn't a romanticized spy. He is an enforcer.
Which is a lot darker.
Very dark. He understands the architecture of fear. He made sure people in Zakova paid their debts and complied with the city's brutal logic. He understands intimidation intimately, which makes his active choice to stop being that man so much harder.
But surviving a place like that permanently rewires your nervous system. Which brings up my absolute favorite mechanical choice at level 1.
The feat.
The feat. Humans get a special feat, right? A unique ability, and Devon takes alert.
What's fascinating here is how this feat defines his entire worldview.
Totally. Now, mechanically alert means you get a massive bonus to your initiative in combat, and you literally cannot be surprised. But narratively,
Profound.
the document says he can't be surprised because Zakova taught him that a single second of hesitation is the difference between breathing and bleeding out.
He doesn't react to the world. He acts first.
He dictates the opening move every single time.
So we have a character who is physically weak, socially blunt, but hyper-aware and incredibly intelligent. The next question the source material tackles is how this specific mind interacts with the physical world.
Right, the actual gameplay.
In these frameworks, gameplay is usually divided into 3 pillars: combat, exploration, and social interaction. Across all 3, Devon applies a unified philosophy of control, understanding, and integrity.
Let's start with combat then, because when I read how he fights, I realized Devon is basically playing a lethal game of Jenga.
A game of Jenga. I love that.
Yeah, because of his high intelligence, he doesn't walk up to the Jenga tower and just punch it with brute strength. He stands back, he watches how the tower sways, and he identifies the one specific keystone block bearing all the weight.
Usually the enemy spellcaster or the loudest commander.
Exactly, and he meticulously pulls it out.
That is a brilliant way to visualize his combat loop. His role is purely single-target elimination. He doesn't wade into a group of enemies trading blows.
That's what the fighters are for.
Right. He uses his core rogue abilities, like sneak attack and assassinate, to surgically remove a problem before it can escalate into a chaotic brawl.
There is a line in the text about his combat style that is just, well, it's haunting.
Oh, I think I know the quote.
It says, "The cleanest fight is the one that never happens."
The second cleanest ends in one strike.
Yes. He never stays in one place. He strikes and then uses his cunning action to just vanish back into the environment.
Now, apply that exact same meticulous logic to the exploration pillar. Devon doesn't just look at the room. He interrogates it.
What do you mean by that?
Well, a typical character sees a locked, heavy iron door and thinks, I need to smash that open. Devon looks at the same door and asks, why is there no dust on the handle?
Ah, looking for the clues.
Right. Who uses this lock?
Yeah.
What is the trigger logic of the trap hidden in the door frame?
He's looking for the story the environment is trying to hide from him. And then we hit the social pillar. We already established he has average charisma, right?
The flat 10.
So he isn't the face of the party negotiating prices with merchants, but because of his high wisdom, he acts as the party's ultimate truth detector.
He lets the loud, charismatic people talk.
Exactly. He watches their posture, he tracks where their eyes dart when a certain name is mentioned, and then he steps in.
And he utilizes what the document brilliantly calls controlled truth. Devon doesn't lie. Instead, he tells the absolute truth at the exact worst possible moment for the person he is interrogating.
Which is terrifying.
It really is. If you think about it in real life, a silent, unblinking person who suddenly drops a hyper-specific, devastating fact into a conversation, that is far more effective than someone trying to bluff you.
People often just confess everything just to fill the uncomfortable silence he creates.
Exactly. But a character sheet isn't static, you know? If you're playing a campaign for months or years, the character levels up.
They grow and change.
And the source material maps out this massive evolutionary leap for Devon between level 5 and level 12. It's not just about getting more health points. His entire relationship with reality shifts.
His stats jump significantly, right?
They do. His dexterity hits an 18, and both his intelligence and wisdom reach a 16. His mind is becoming sharper, his reflexes faster. But the most revealing changes are the new feats he acquires.
Skulker and observant.
Yes.
Mechanically, Skulker means that if he misses an attack while hidden, his position isn't revealed, and he can hide even in dim light. He basically stops using stealth as a skill and literally just becomes part of the shadows.
It's second nature.
And observant gives him a massive boost to his passive perception. The text describes it beautifully. It says, he sees the lie before it's fully formed.
I love that phrasing.
Right. He processes micro details that ordinary people walk right past.
And this creates a fascinating dilemma when we look at his inventory. Because if you've played any of these games, you know the absolute urge to grab the biggest, flashiest, magical items once you hit level 12.
Oh, absolutely. Give me the flaming sword that deals explosive damage.
Right. You want armor that shoots lightning.
But here's where it gets really interesting. Devon completely rejects that arms race. His weapon is just a simple, perfectly balanced rapier, nothing flashy.
Pure function.
Exactly. Instead, his major item acquisitions are a cloak of elven kind, eyes of the eagle, and gloves of thievery. If I'm optimizing for combat, those sound super boring.
But narratively.
Narratively, they're insane. The cloak of elven kind bends light and muffles sound, allowing him to basically fade from existence. The gloves of thievery give him invisible, microscopic control over complex mechanisms and locks.
And the eyes of the eagle give him advantage on perception checks relying on sight. Narratively, this means he can stand on a rooftop 100 feet away and see the sweat forming on a corrupt politician's brow through a thick window.
It's like he has a sniper scope.
These items don't make him a better killer. They make him an arbiter of access and awareness. He has mastered systems.
And his personal philosophy mirrors this mechanical shift perfectly. At level 5, his guiding motto was simply end it cleanly.
Efficient and detached.
Right. But by level 12, with his stats boosted and his perception maximized, his motto evolves into decide if it should end at all.
A huge leap in maturity.
He is no longer just pointing his 6d6 sneak attack damage at whoever he is told to kill. And, you know, we should put that damage into perspective for a second.
Please do.
A 66 strike in this framework is roughly the equivalent of being hit by a localized meteor. It is an overwhelming, catastrophic amount of kinetic energy.
That's massive damage.
Massive. But Devon doesn't use it to be flashy. He uses it to ensure the target never feels a thing.
And the document doesn't just leave us with theory either. It provides this incredible masterclass narrative scene to demonstrate exactly how all these stats, items, and philosophies interact in a living, breathing story.
Oh, the climax of the document.
Yes, the scene titled The Man Who Shouldn't Die.
Let's walk you through this because it feels like a scene ripped straight out of a premium thriller movie. The setting is Zykova, Devon's brutal hometown.
The city of trauma.
Exactly. It's the dead of winter. Snow is coming down hard, swallowing the sound of the city. The party has been hired for a highly lucrative, supposedly straightforward assassination. The target is Ilian Voss, a former war strategist who recently pivoted to politics.
The intelligence briefing the party receives is pretty standard. Voss is hosting a private gathering at his estate. There will be minimal guards inside the manor, but heavy patrols on the perimeter.
So they approach the estate, and we immediately see Devon's level 12 exploration pillar activate.
Setting the stage.
The rest of the party is just looking at stone walls and armored guards trying to figure out how to climb over. But Devon uses his eyes of the eagle and his 16 intelligence to basically interrogate the architecture.
He doesn't just see guards, he sees a system.
Exactly. He spots a patrol route that is 5 seconds out of sync because one guard is favoring an injured knee. Then he scans the manor's second floor and notices a single window where the winter frost has been disturbed from the inside.
Indicating a blind spot in the internal security.
Yep. He maps the infiltration path instantly.
So they breach the manor and blend into the shadows above the gathering, which transitions seamlessly into the social pillar. The party spots Ilian Voss mingling below.
And the rest of the group readies their weapons. They have their target in sight.
But Devon holds up a hand and stops them.
Because Devon is using his 16 wisdom to run an insight check on the target. He observes Voss interacting with a lowly servant. And Voss isn't acting paranoid. He isn't barking orders or hiding behind mercenaries.
No, he is quietly, genuinely thanking the servant.
Treating them with a profound respect that does completely not align with the profile of a corrupt, tyrannical politician. Devon realizes the intel they were sold is a fabrication.
So Devon makes his move. He drops silently from the rafters, steps out of the shadows right behind Voss, and utilizes his signature controlled truth.
No weapons drawn.
No threats. He simply leans in and says, "You don't act like a man who deserves to die tonight."
Most targets would scream for the guards, but Voss just turns, looks Devon dead in the eye, and replies, "No one who deserves it ever does."
The sheer weight of that dialogue.
It's incredible. Devon is staring at a crack in the entire logic of their mission.
But before Devon can even process that response, the combat pillar violently crashes into the scene. The stained glass windows of the manor just shatter inward.
Chaos erupts.
A third faction, a squad of rival assassins, completely unaffiliated with Devon's party, floods into the room. They slaughter the guards and zero in on Ilian Voss.
Now, wait, hold on. Let's look at this purely from a mechanical mercenary standpoint.
Uh,
Devon's party was hired to kill Voss. Suddenly, heavily armed rivals drop through the ceiling to kill Voss.
Problem solved, right?
Exactly. The party can just sit back in the shadows, let the rivals do the dirty work, collect their paycheck, and leave without spending a single resource. Why in the world would Devon get involved?
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture, Phase 1, Devon would have done exactly that. He would have let the math work itself out.
Because it's efficient.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But Phase 3, Devon operates on integrity. The logic of the hit is broken. The system is lying to him. And Devon, with 41 names already on his conscience, utterly refuses to be a tool for a lie.
So the mechanics roar to life. Because Devon has the alert feat, he cannot be surprised by the ambush.
He dictates the opening move.
His 18 dexterity kicks in. He moves through the chaotic, panicking crowd like a ghost. He identifies the enemy leader, the keystone of their Jenga tower, and unleashes that 66 sneak attack.
Boom.
He completely deletes the highest threat in the room before the rival squad even realizes they've lost their commander.
It is clinical surgical violence. He uses his rogue cunning action to reposition, darting between the marble pillars, striking from impossible angles, but the chaos is overwhelming.
It's a bloodbath.
A surviving rival assassin manages to tackle Voss to the ground, raising a blade to finish the job. Devon's party hesitates, still confused about whose side they are actually on.
But Devon doesn't hesitate. He closes the distance and executes the rival assassin with one precise strike, pulling Voss out from under the falling body. He literally saves the target he was paid to kill.
The combat ends as abruptly as it began. The manor is dead silent, except for the wind howling through the shattered windows. Bodies litter the floor. Devon's party regroups, completely bewildered.
I mean, you would be.
Right. They look at the carnage, they look at the breathing target, and the party leader says to Devon, You just failed the mission.
And Devon's response perfectly encapsulates this entire deep dive. He wipes his blade, looks at his party, and says, "No, I refuse to lie."
Goosebumps.
Lillian Voss looks at the man who was supposed to murder him and says, "Then you're the first honest man they've sent." It is just a masterpiece of storytelling. It completely validates the premise of rogue.pdf.
It really does.
The math, the stats, the feats, they aren't just rules to constrain a game. They are an architecture you can use to build a deeply flawed, evolving human being. As Devon says at the end of the scene, "I stopped confusing orders with truth."
It provides such a fascinating lens, not just for gaming or writing, but for analyzing our own behavior.
Oh, totally.
Think about your everyday life. The habits you practice, the environments you choose to navigate, the skills you spend hours refining, those are your personal mechanics.
Your own character sheet.
Yes, you are building your own character sheet every single day. The things you repeat become the things you are.
Which leaves you with a pretty heavy question to chew on as you go about the rest of your day. Take a hard look at the stats you are currently investing your time and energy into.
Sobering thought.
It really is. Based on what you practice every day, what kind of character are you unintentionally optimizing yourself to become?
Exactly.
Well, thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We'll catch you next time.